Good evening. You're watching the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and our focus tonight is on the 500 other products, food products that other than Maggi are set to be banned. Well, there are question marks over them. Now, this includes some major international brands. So what's going to be the impact of all this on us as consumers? We'll be talking about that to a special guest in our focus story. But first, the headlines we're tracking tonight. Over 2 weeks, the government cancels licenses of over 4,000 NGOs, all organizations barred from receiving foreign funds. Opposition questions motive. Food safety standards rejects approvals for 500 products, majors like Starbucks, Kellogg's and Venky's on its blacklist. Centre intervenes to help crisis-ridden sugarcane producers, approves 6,000 crore rupee interest-free loan to enable sugar mills to partly pay farmer arrears. Kapil Mishra replaces Jitendra Singh Tomar as Delhi's law minister. Tomar moves court for bail. Our top story this evening: in a fresh crackdown on non-profit organizations for violating provisions of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010, the Union Home Ministry cancelled FCRA registration of over 4,000 organizations in the past couple of weeks. Now, the list of entities who lost their registration since May include many educational institutions like the Delhi University and JNU as well.
The Union Home Ministry on Tuesday cancelled the licenses of 971 organizations, preventing them from receiving foreign contributions. This brought the total number of entities that faced similar action to 4,470 in the last 2 weeks. The penalized organizations include a number of top universities like Delhi University and JNU, the Supreme Court Bar Association and the Escorts Heart Institute.
I think this is a very strange bureaucratic initiative to try to regulate our international funding system and flow of international support to a variety of organizations. If you find even Delhi University a defaulter or National Law University a defaulter, I think your method has to improve.
The opposition questioned the motive behind the government's action.
NGOs who did not submit their accounts, who did not submit their returns, they were identified even in the UPA government and show cause notices were issued. If the present cancellation is a culmination of those show cause notices, I don't find anything wrong.
The ruling BJP, however, defended the government's action, stating it was in line with the rules.
There are prescribed rules and regulations under the FCRA Act, and if the NGO or if a body does not follow these prescribed rules and acts, definitely the government is bound to take action. This should not be seen in any other way, excepting for the fact that law is bound to prevail everywhere.
In a similar crackdown in April this year, licenses of nearly 9,000 NGOs were cancelled for allegedly violating the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, a focus story for this evening. Amid the controversy over Maggi noodles, the National Food Regulator, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, today rejected approval for about 500 products. Now, some of these products are marketed by majors in the field like Starbucks, Kellogg's and Venky's.
More foodstuffs are joining Maggi noodles on the blacklist. According to the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, 500 products have shown unsafe lead levels. The names include some hot consumer favorites like a few Starbucks coffee varieties, a Kellogg's cereal, poultry products from Venky's and the Ranbaxy multivitamin Revital. Reports said the products contained high levels of sugar, caramel, salt or heavy metals, caffeine and even iron fillings. However, a few companies said their products were blacklisted on technical grounds and not over safety issues. Meanwhile, Gujarat on Wednesday banned Maggi instant noodles, which is still under scrutiny for high levels of lead. Health officials at the Rajkot Municipal Corporation said results showed the product to be harmful.
परीक्षण के मुताबिक आज जो विचारे चार के रिजल्ट आए वो सभी फेल होकर आए और मानव के लिए हानिकारक डिक्लेयर किए गए। उनकी बात करें तो जो मैगी के नूडल्स में जो लेड का जिसका नियत परिणाम 2.5 ppm से उससे ज्यादा मिला है और साथ साथ में उसमें मोनोसोडियम ग्लूकोनेट भी मिला है जो भी प्रोहिबिटेड है.
A spot check in Uttar Pradesh revealed that the lead content in Maggi was 17 times the permissible limit of 2.5 parts per million. Besides lead, MSG was confirmed in the samples. Maker Nestle India have however said it does not add MSG to the noodles. Several other states like Maharashtra, Bihar and West Bengal, Haryana, Punjab and Himachal Pradesh say they are testing the noodles. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, to help us understand what is happening with our food products, we decided to bring in somebody who first broke the story of the Maggi and the fact that the Maggi's lead levels were higher than normal. Sushmi, the assistant editor at the Times of India, of course, broke that story. And she joins us in the studio. Sushmi, after Maggi, now 500 more products under FSSAI scrutiny. So, as far as this banning of products goes and this entire sort of effort that is on right now to find out what exactly are we consuming as far as packaged foods are concerned, a lot more items now joining the list.
That's right. You know, it's all for consumer good. Regulations in India are certainly getting more stringent. We are going to see more scrutiny of products. The market is expanding, of course. The basic problem that these regulators have found is about not just about quality, but also about how you label these products and how you make your consumer aware, you know, because this is an age of retail. We are talking about FDI in retail, we are talking about e-commerce, so the consumer should be aware of what he or she is buying and consuming. So the whole issue about, you know, all these new products coming in, here the regulator specifically have issues about labeling, what you are telling your consumer, your customer on the packs, and what you are selling to them. So there is a mismatch between the two. That is what the regulator is trying to point out. So this is more than, of course, there are quality issues also when we are talking about lead or MSG. Specifically in Maggi, but there are also standards and there are also labeling, packaging issues, so you're selling products with more sugar content, whereas you're posing that it is a sugar free or it does not contain that much of sugar. So these issues are being highlighted, which is for the betterment of consumer.
All right, but Sushmi, it seems that not all labs across the country are in conformity. I mean, there are states that have banned Maggi, there are states that are saying Maggi is perfectly safe to eat. So in all this, the role of the FSSAI becomes all the more important. And do you see the organization involving and more such things happening as far as consumer awareness are concerned?
See, FSSAI is a very decent organization. It's a very new organization so as to say. So if you look at it at a comprehensive picture, in fact, food regulation per se, as I said, is very new, and the food market is growing and emerging in India. The packaged food market, especially when you see more of imported products coming into the market, more of fancy stuffs, more variants of every product entering the market. As far as the uniformity and testings are concerned, see, food or health is a state subject, so enforcement lies with states. Now, it is true, it's a fact that India as such needs to strengthen its testing facilities and laboratories, also along with the regulatory mechanism. For instance, you know, today there are reports that Singapore has given a clean sheet, and Nestle, I want to point it out here, Nestle from the very beginning has been saying that you know, the testing facilities of the government may not be at par, and because their reports show that there is no lead content or no MSG as such. So of course that is an area which needs to be looked at.
All right, Sushmi, my final question very quickly, if we could just assess as far as moving forward from here, you're saying in terms of consumer interest protection, a lot is happening and the awareness levels certainly have gone up as far as packaged foods are concerned. But as you also mentioned, there's so much more coming into India. India's opening up, FDI is being announced for retail, etc. So moving on from here, do you see a sort of a mechanism evolving where there is a certain standardization? Because often what used to happen earlier was if it's fine, say if it's approved by the US FDA, then it's good enough for India. Has that mentality changed?
Yes, of course. I see more of that with the new government there, because we see more coordination with the states. This has changed. Now you see the central regulator forming guidelines, standards, not just in case of foods, in case of pharmaceuticals, medicines, even for that matter, clinical trials. There are set of parameters and norms which are there, and the states are asked to follow and check or keep a check, monitor those products which are there in the market based on those criteria, based on those parameters. For instance, in this case also, when FSSAI has written to state regulators, it has asked them to follow certain parameters, to do a quality check, to look for added components in these food products, to look for lead contents. Based on those parameters, earlier these regulations were not present. So state regulators didn't know what to look for. We are adding more regulators as well. More food inspectors, drug inspectors are being inducted into the system. So this is a move forward.
All right, it is a move forward, and of course consumer protection at its best. But let's see how many products do get banned, whether you see your favorite products on the shelves or not. Well, perhaps the FSSAI can answer that. But Sushmiti, thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand this issue a little better. Well, moving on now, the government today approved a 6,000 crore rupee interest-free loan to sugar mills to help them partly clear cane price arrears to farmers that have touched about 21,000 crore rupees. The decision was taken in a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs in the national capital.
Crisis-ridden sugarcane farmers finally getting some relief from the central government on Wednesday. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved a 6,000 crore interest-free loan to sugar mills. This will help them partly clear cane price arrears to farmers that have touched about 21,000 crore.
करीब 6,000 करोड़ रुपए जो किसानों का गन्ने का भुगतान करना है, उसके लिए सरकार ने उसके लिए पैसा उपलब्ध करने का निर्णय किया है। ये लोन मंजूर करने के बाद बैंक डायरेक्टली जनधन योजना में जो अकाउंट किसानों के खुले हैं, उन डायरेक्ट अकाउंट पर मिलने दी हुई लिस्ट के अनुसार डायरेक्ट पैसा उनके पास जमा करेंगे।
Gadkari said the centre has taken many measures to help the farmers, including the increase in sugar import duty to 40%, providing an export subsidy of 4,000 per ton on raw sugar and increase in ethanol prices to promote its blending with petrol. India's sugar production is estimated to cross 28 million tons in 2014-15. Stating that the cost of raw material is more than the end product, Gadkari said sugar prices had fallen to 22 per kg from the earlier 34 per kg. The centre will bear the interest burden of 600 crore from the Sugar Development Fund. The CCEA has also decided that the loans will be provided to those units that clear at least 50% of the outstanding arrears before 30th June 2015. This is the second time that the centre is providing interest-free loans to cash-starved mills. In December 2013, the UPA government gave interest-free loans of 6,600 crore to make payments to cane farmers. Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time now for a very quick break, but coming up on the other side, the details of the Army's Myanmar operation emerge. 38 insurgents were killed in the surgical strike deep inside Myanmar. More on that after the break.
Another round of action against NGOs. Top universities, hospitals, other bodies, among 4,500 entities hit this time. Is the crackdown justified, and are there more in the line of fire? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, after the success of Operation Myanmar, India is looking at more such joint operations with that country. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will visit Myanmar soon to discuss further joint action against insurgents. The government and armies of the two countries are said to be in close and continued contact on the issue. Indian Ambassador to Myanmar, Gautam Mukhopadhyay, reviewed the post-operation situation with senior officials of the Myanmar government. For yesterday's strike by the Indian Army, India invoked the May 2014 border agreement with Myanmar on border cooperation. And as details of the Army's Myanmar operation emerge, it is clear that it was a well-planned and well-executed operation. 38 insurgents were killed by Indian Army commandos. Saying it has a zero-tolerance policy towards terror and terrorist organizations, the government lauded the Army for the work done.
These victorious commandos of Indian Army's Special Forces have every reason to be proud, for they have executed a perfectly planned operation inside another country. 38 insurgents from the northeast were killed and 7 others were injured in the surgical strike carried out deep inside Myanmar on Tuesday.
चुनौती तो है और चुनौती को हाथ में लेते हुए जो काम किया देश हित में, वो देश वाला सब मिलकर के उसको हम लोग को इसको सैल्यूट करना चाहिए, सेना के जवानों को और जितने भी लोग इसमें जुड़े हुए हैं. ये प्रक्रिया है, बहुत बड़ा इसमें एक कोऑर्डिनेशन का आवश्यकता होता है.
Of course, it is a big day for the Indian security forces, the Indian Army, the special forces, and it will boost the morale of the Indian Army soldiers and the officers. But today's operation proves that anybody who harms India or wants to harm India will have to pay a very heavy cost.
The plan for this first of its kind operation was chalked out hours after insurgents ambushed an army convoy, killing 18 soldiers in Chandel area of Manipur on June 4th. The plan got the Prime Minister's clearance on the night of June 7th, soon after his return from Bangladesh. During the intervening night of 8th and 9th June, Special Forces personnel were airdropped deep inside the Myanmar territory. The airdrop was close to the camps of the militants. The strike began at 3 p.m. on Tuesday.
These attacks were to be carried out by some of those groups which had been involved in attacks on security forces personnel earlier and some of their allies. And based on the intelligence that had been gathered by us, we conducted operations to counter these attacks.
The successful operation has been lauded by one and all.
It is good that we could, eliminate the militant sources in Myanmar, because the Myanmar government and the Myanmar army was friendly with India. That is why we could do that. And, probably the same operation, I don't know whether the government of India will be able to carry out in Pakistan.
Lauding the army, the government has said it has zero tolerance for terror and terror organizations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now to the tussle over the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, and former Delhi Law Minister Jitendra Singh Tomar was today taken to Faizabad in Uttar Pradesh. Tomar is being investigated for allegedly forging his graduation and law degrees, even though Tomar claims his degrees are genuine. The Awadh University in Faizabad has said that he was never enrolled as a student there.
A day after being arrested and remanded in judicial custody for 4 days in a fake degree case, former Law Minister of Delhi Jitendra Singh Tomar has moved a sessions court. In his plea, he alleges that the arrest was in violation of the prescribed procedure under law.
This order is illegal order because the formalities of arrest which are required as per law, they are not followed in this case. So the order of granting custody, the question was not arising. So this was wrongly given.
Earlier in the day, Tomar was taken to the Awadh University in Faizabad for an on-the-spot verification and questioning. Tomar claims to have obtained a BSc degree from the university, but the varsity maintains Tomar's degree is a fake one.
उन्होंने जो सेट ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट लगाए हुए थे, उस सेट ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट से रिलेटेड कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन विश्वविद्यालय के डॉक्यूमेंट्स में मौजूद नहीं है. ये उनको ऑलरेडी सूचित किया जा चुका था और यही आज भी विश्वविद्यालय का कहना है.
Meanwhile, back in Delhi, opposition BJP and Congress were up in arms against the Aam Aadmi Party government. Hundreds of Congress supporters led by DPCC Chief Ajay Markan staged a protest march outside the Delhi Secretariat demanding the resignation of Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal.
The moral responsibility lies with Arvind Kejriwal. It was he who selected Jitendra Tomar for candidate. It was he who made him the minister, despite fully knowing that he has a fake degree. So he has so many things to answer. And how can we expect the law minister now has gone, the chief minister who always used to protect that law minister, to be fair when the trial goes on. So in order to have a free and fair trial, Kejriwal also should resign.
निश्चित रूप से ये सारा का सारा नैतिकता का, मोरालिटी का जो सवाल है कि हम बहुत स्पष्ट हैं, हम साफ हैं, हम नैतिक हैं, हम सबसे ज़्यादा क्लियर हैं, ये सारी की सारी बातें केवल एक राजनीतिक लाभ उठाने के लिए केजरीवाल साहब करते रहे हैं. लेकिन वास्तव में जो व्यवहारिक चीज़ है वो उसमें सब कुछ अलग उसका कुछ अलग ही दृष्टिकोण है.
The Delhi police is now also probing the possibility of an organized racket behind the alleged fake degrees obtained by Tomar. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the Aam Aadmi Party government has appointed Kapil Mishra as the new Law Minister of Delhi. Mishra is an MLA from Karawal Nagar in northeast Delhi and served as the Vice Chairman of the Delhi Jal Board. Mishra's appointment comes a day after Jitendra Singh Tomar resigned following his arrest in the fake degree case. Mishra will also take additional charge of the tourism portfolio. On to news about the Bihar elections, and Bihar's ruling party, the Janata Dal United, has set up a war room ahead of the assembly polls. This on the advice of a former aide to Prime Minister Modi. Senior JDU leaders K.C. Tyagi and Pawan Verma will be among those in charge of the war room. Setting up a war room is one of the many ideas suggested by Prashant Kishore, the man who assisted Modi during the 2014 Lok Sabha polls. Among the other suggestions Kishore gave to JDU leaders is one asking them to give a balanced response when allegations are hurled against the party. He also suggested that the party's media cell be spruced up. And Maratha strongman Sharad Pawar has been unanimously re-elected as president of the Nationalist Congress Party, a post he has occupied since he founded the party in 1999. The 74-year-old's re-election was declared at the party's 6th National Convention. Pawar's nephew and NCP legislator party leader Ajit Pawar was conspicuous by his absence at the meet. Sharad Pawar was elected unopposed as no other name was received for the post. The meeting coincides with the 16th anniversary of the party's foundation. Pawar, along with Tariq Anwar and P. Esangma, formed the party after splitting from the Congress on the issue of Sonia Gandhi's foreign origin. After his re-election, Pawar said his party's aim was to protect the interests and work for the welfare of the youth, women, minorities and the backward classes. And for all the other national news and updates, let's take you nationwide. Caught in the middle of the cash for vote scam, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu met Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. Naidu's party, the TDP, has filed 50 FIRs with the Andhra Pradesh police against Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao for tapping phones of his Andhra counterpart. The Madras High Court has rejected the appeal of Maran Brothers against attachment of their property by the Enforcement Directorate in the ASL Maxis deal case. The court rejected Kalanidhi Maran's plea against an ED order attaching properties worth 742 crore rupees owned by him and his brother, Dayanidhi Maran. Lawyers today stayed away from the Calcutta High Court as part of a 3-day cease work, citing hot and humid weather. The lawyers' action has caused harassment to thousands of litigants and prompted the Chief Justice to term the action irritating and painful. Despite judges being present in their courtrooms, no cases could be taken up for hearing. Well, time for us to take another very short break, but coming up on the other side, all the international news, the United States is to send 500 more troops to Iraq to fight the Islamic State militants. More on that after the break.
Hottest topics.
If you can facilitate the opening up of the expansion of the international border trade, you can add to the economy.
370 धारा जो है वो जम्मू कश्मीर को मुल्क के साथ जोड़े रखती है.
Candid confessions.
The Congress has not been able to communicate.
We have to revive our links with the masses.
World-class healthcare is available to only a handful of people in this country.
Courting controversies.
A lot of leaders today think that they rule by divine right.
Now, media has become manageable.
Watch RSTV engage personalities to the point. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Thursday, 1:30 and 5:30 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, some international news. In US, President Barack Obama is planning to approve the deployment of more troops to Iraq to fight the Islamic State militants. The report comes just a day after after he said that the US lacked a complete strategy to wipe out the IS. Besides sending the additional troops, the US will also set up a new training base in Iraq's Anbar province. At present, there are nearly 3,000 US military personnel, including trainers and advisors in Iraq. US believes that a lack of training of the Iraqi forces is a major factor for the fallout. Despite the US-led coalition strikes, IS has made significant gains in Iraq. And 2 more people died in South Korea after contracting the MERS virus. The total death toll has gone up to 9 with 108 confirmed cases in the country. South Korean officials said the outbreak that has entered the 3rd week was in its most critical period. Meanwhile, South Korean President Park Geun-hye postponed her US visit to oversee the MERS outbreak. The WHO team is investigating the spread of the disease. The outbreak is the biggest outside the Middle East and has no known cure. Time for some sports now, and the Indian cricket team kicked off their international season with a one-off test against Bangladesh at Fatullah today in Bangladesh. After winning the toss and choosing to bat first, India scored 239 runs without losing a wicket on day 1. Openers Shikhar Dhawan and Murali Vijay established absolute dominance as they hammered the listless Bangladesh bowling attack. Dhawan dominated the innings right from the start, scoring an unbeaten 150 of 158 balls, which included 21 boundaries. Vijay was on 89 when bails were drawn for bad light after 34 overs were lost because of heavy rain. This is the second time that Dhawan-Vijay duo posted a double-century partnership after that 289-run stand in Mohali back in 2013.
I think he's playing with the field here by such wonderful
ODIs, double 100 in test matches.
And FIFA has decided to postpone the start of bidding for the rights of the host to host the 2026 World Cup. Now, this comes after the launch of the corruption investigation that has hit the world sporting body. The decision on the host was due to be made in Kuala Lumpur in 2017.
And there was the decision to allocate this World Cup in 2017 and to start the bidding process soon. Due to the situation, I think it's a nonsense to start any bidding process for the time being, and we will postpone this bidding process for, again, the time being.
The 2026 finals apart, there has been talk lately of Russia and Qatar losing rights to host the 2018 and 2022 finals respectively. But the FIFA maintains there are no irregularities.
Мы действовали в рамках того регламента, который был. Могу вас заверить, что мы, если бы что-то было, уж за 2,5-3 года, единственное, что я всегда опасаюсь, это какого-то наговора.
A feeling echoed by Russia.
Когда я говорю, закон обратной силы не имеет, мы говорим о том, что есть регламенты продвижения той или иной заявки. Могу вам твердо сказать, нельзя эту лодку раскачивать. Мы же договорились уже, что немцы и Германия неправильно получила чемпионат.
Media reports have claimed that the FBI is preparing to investigate Volker and Sepp Blatter as part of its probe into the $150 million corruption scandal involving FIFA officials. Volker has always denied any wrongdoing. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
It's time now for all the sporting action in Sports Beat. Zimbabwe Cricket today confirmed that India have agreed to tour Zimbabwe for a limited over series featuring 3 one-day internationals and 2 T20 internationals. India will reach the African nation on the 7th of July and leave on the 20th. However, the BCCI has yet to issue a statement regarding the tour. Former Maharashtra wicketkeeper Hemant Kanetkar passed away in Pune at his residence on Tuesday. Kanetkar placed in 2 tests as a batsman in the home series against Clive Lloyd's West Indies in 1974-75. He was 72 and is survived by his wife and 2 sons, Rishikesh and Aditya. In his first-class career, Kanetkar amassed 5,000 runs at an impressive average of 42.79 with 13 centuries and 87 disposals. Sami Khedira will join Juventus on a free transfer from Real Madrid on the 1st of July. The World Cup winning German midfielder has agreed for a 4-year contract with the Champions League finalist Juventus. Khedira joined Real from Stuttgart in 2010 and has won the league, the Copa del Rey and the Champions League with the Madrid outfit. Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.